but I think, as I understand it, there's not we leave things to protect the rest of the ceremony to appease Eshu. And Megwa is the aspect that is the crossroads of decision. Eshu will mess with your shit.
Okay.
That's my
I've heard of the trickster.
Yeah. And I think in Capoeira that entity is very strong. So Eshu is really connected with young kids actually. And that's so the way that the tradition was able to survive through, enslavement is its synchronicity with Catholic saints. So a lot of these orishas have like a parallel Catholic saint that people were kind of like worshiping that one and brings destruction. And Eshu is not about that. Eshu is kind of like, this idea of being a trickster, kind of like how kids are. Kids a lot of times will trick you in a way that tests your character. Because it's very easy to preach about culture and be present and composed when when everything is great. When you have a job, when you're healthy, when everything is calm. I look really calm right now, right? But if you come at about 7 o'clock at night, when we come back from teaching class next to my kids and they don't want to take a shower, that's the real test of your character. It's a really beautiful image that they have in the tradition of kids are like, that we have lessons kind of like in a board, and the opening is too small for a big hand to get inside. So kids are the ones that are able with their tiny hand to get the lessons and kind of give us to us in a way that we can digest it.
Yes.
So the idea is that, a kid is going to come to you and be like, you go to your mother-in-law and like, Janice, the food was so great today, thank you so much. And then you go in the car, you go to your husband and like, man, what is going on with that food? Your mom always makes this terrible quiche and she thinks it's so great. And then your kid will be like, why did you lie to grandma? And that's that kind of sense of trigger, like, why did you do that? So I think Eshu is that idea of like testing your character to make you grow. And it is this idea of like, he lives in the crossroads. There's a story about Eshu is one of the kids of Yemanja, which we get to. And she was doing a big party, and he was saying, Mom, I'm hungry. And she's like, okay, here's a chicken, eat. And then she goes back to, he's like, Mom, I'm hungry again. And she goes and gets a goat and makes for him. And he's like, Mom, I'm again hungry. And it's how I heard it. I don't remember the animal, so don't quote me on that. But he opened his mouth really big and was about to swallow her. And she grabbed his lips and closed them and then threw him outside of the house. And the idea of like, relationship of respect and how much do you give your kid before you say stop and all that stuff. But and that is why they say that Eshu lives it doesn't live inside the house. People that practice Orisha tradition, they always have an Eshu at the opening of the door. And like you said, he's somebody that every time people kind of like first talk to him before they do anything else, because you can mess with your ritual. Kind of like, right? If you want to do something, like if you have a meeting, you're gonna give your kids some here, toys, snacks, and kind of like the same idea. Yes. And all Orishas have to kind of like do that to him. There's a story that where Oshun, which we'll get to as well, she was one of the first female Orishas to come come from the heavens into the planet, and she became pregnant, and all the other Orishas didn't know who was the father. Like, they didn't know who conceived this baby with her. And because they didn't know, all of them had to take responsibility over him. So that's one of the stories of why every time we do rituals for any of them, you have to kind of like, have to give some attention to the shoe. All right. Ooh, can we try to learn a song for him before we start? Let me see something simple. I believe in you, okay? Even if it's a little hard. It goes like this. Yeshua, Shua, my. Yeshua, Shua, my. Kie odara. 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 That is the same word. You just say, Laroye. Everybody. Laroye. And Laroye is one of the salutations that you do for a shoe. When he appears, you say, Laroye. Everybody. Laroye. Okay? So, Yeshua, Shua, Mamai, Kie Odara. Laroye. 1, 2, 3, go. Shua, Shua, Mamai, Kie Odara. Laroye. And it's the same word, just a different music. Shua, Shua, Mamai, Kie Odara. Shua, Shua, Mamai, Kie Odara. Yeshua, Yeshua. I think we can. Who here and just be honest. Who here can kind of like hold the beat a little bit, learn on the spot? Okay, thank you. Can you do it? Yeah. All right, we ready? So, Usa's gonna do the bell, and then maybe if we're good, we'll able to give her 2 sticks, and she can really help me. It's okay. If you put me in her class dancing, then I'm sure it will be worse. Okay, so she's gonna go. Yeshua, Shua, Mama, Kie Odara. Lalo, Yeshua, Shua, Mama, Kie Odara. Yeshua, Yeshua, Shua, Mama, Kie Odara. Lalo, Yeshua, Shua, Mama, Kie Odara. Yeshua, Yeshua.
Female.
Boom. Yeah.
First on the abo, mentioned sort of to open. Could you, I'm sort of really a language obsessed person, is that abo, like abo vida? The first song that we did, can you just say anything about the meaning of the phrase?
Ago,
In Yoruba.
Yeah, so, like, full transparency, I don't speak Yoruba. And a lot of the songs actually, a lot of the people that sing the song know vaguely what the song is about, but to translate, like, literally each word.
No, I don't mean that.
Yeah,
I
I know.
The salutation, it is salutation.
Oh. The salutation sentence will appear in, like, let's say, la oye, right?
For sure.
Or there's certain things that, like, we will be able to kind of recognize. The songs that I'm singing are in Yoruba, but they're Yoruba via Brazil. So sometimes the dialect have changed. Sometimes some of the things, like, I've kind of added. Like, mamai, that's how I learned it. It's not a word in Yoruba.
I like the first song because it's so
Yeah.
beautiful. It's that opening up.
Yeah.
Right? So it just does that any meaning that you know.
Yeah, as far as the literal meaning, I don't. I know that it has
But
to
it's
do with
the
open
opening
space.
up of
Yeah.
the space.
To receive spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we're starting with the feminine. Okay, let's start with the one that is, as you come into the studio, you see a picture of her. Anybody knows what I'm talking about? No. No. Oshun, exactly. So when you come in, you see a picture of Oshun. Who has heard about Oshun before? Okay. What do you know about Oshun, Mare?
I think she likes gold.
Very good. A gold what?
Yellow.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's fine. Anything else? Just yell it out. Okay, so sweet fresh water, yeah. Anything else?
She holds a mirror.
She holds a mirror, and behind that mirror there is a knife. Yeah. So all these women, they're all nice and sweet, but they're all warriors. None of them is by any means weak. What else? Actually, that's a lot. So Oshun is represented. There's a festival in Nigeria. There's a river called the Oshun River, and the people that lived around that river many years ago believed that, like, Oshun was the one that kind of provided for them, and that's why they celebrate her. Oshun is in so water is very. I really love this. In Ifa they talk about, like, water has no enemies. There's something about water that represents peace. And then Oshun is in Nigeria is represented by the water, right? By the river. And then Yemanja is really represented where the river meets the ocean. Olokun is the one that represents in the deep oceans. But in the Americas, some people, we'll talk about it later, think these things kind of changed a little bit. Oshun is everything that is beautiful in a young woman. I think it's the kind of woman that we idealize in this culture. The princess, right? She's beauty and sensuality. If you think about, like, taking a bath in a river, it's not sexual, but there's something very sensual about that. And when you see the sun on the water, it does look a little bit like it's gold. She represents aristocracy, the arts. By the honeybee, if you think about it, the honey never spoils. So on one hand, you know, she's like self-love. It's like looking at yourself in the mirror and loving what you see. You know, it's and on the other hand, it's maybe a little bit more self-absorbed, a little mean girl energy, gossipness, cattiness. Yeah, and there's many stories about her. I'm trying to think of what, like, so Oshun, to me, Oshun is really connected with Capoeira. Because I feel like this is my vision. This is nothing this is my personal philosophy. Capoeira is a fight, Capoeira is community, but if there's no finesse to it, I feel like it's kind of like, it doesn't look like Capoeira. It looks like two people just fighting, you know? And her energy is like, you know, decorating yourself in perfume and gold. And they say that Oshun likes to wash her jewelry before washing her babies. She, ding, ding, dum, dum, dum. So you flip it over, and you go, ding, ding, dum, 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 ding, ding, dum, dum. Now you didn't hear this one. Okay, so the song goes like this. Yeah, Shirelote. Just that. Yeah, Shirelote. Yeah, Shirelote. Aga unjeje. Yeah, Shirelote. Aga unjeje. And then at the end you just add the ya. So the whole thing. Oh yeah, Shirelote. Aga unjeje. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. For a lot of people into the tradition. So, and the dance that she does is very slow. I'm not a dancer, but there's other ones where she's like sewing. So all this stuff, and then she goes in the water. All goes in the water. There's one where you kind of like show the waves of the water. There's one, because it has to do with Yemanjá, it's like where, so all these orishas have different manifestations. One is really old, one is a warrior. This one is the ocean hitting against the rocks. So, like I said, they're all women, and don't get this like mother kind of stuff confuse you. You don't want to mess with like a mother and a kid. All of us that work with parents know. So it's a very fierce energy, right? Alright, so that is Yemanjá. Alright. And then I think the last female that we'll do is Yansa. Oh yeah, Yansa. Anybody heard of her? Alright, whoever heard, what did you hear? Wind. Anything else?
The warrior.
She's a warrior. She's very much a warrior. This is a woman that spent a lot of time around men. She's considered to be the first woman of the marketplace, in the marketplace. In Brazil, she's connected with the women that sell acarajé in the street. So if you're all day under the sun talking to people, especially in Salvador, you're not gonna take any shit. Like, you're gonna be. This is women that I'm sure all of you have an aunt like that or a neighbor. They are in the room. You're gonna notice. Very much about like speaking their mind. Maybe speak a little bit before they think. You know. Kind of like in your face, unapologetic, and she's represented, all the Yabas, all the female orishas are represented by some element of water. She's represented by the storm, and she represents transformation, not change. Like I could right now go and get like a blonde hair, that's a change. But transformation is like, you know, I'm getting married, I'm having a kid, you know, that's transformation. I'm opening you know, something where it's like it changes your life. And then,
Also have this aspect of walking in the graveyard.
yes,
The
very good,
kindness, so she's
very
fierce,
true.
but she has the afterlife.
Yes. So she's connected with the cemeteries. She's the mother of 9. In some places, there's 9 stillborn. She was never able to have kids. She is the one that cuts the lifeline. So there's 3 Orish, like, you know, Omulu is the one that takes the body. Nana is the one that takes the soul. And Yemanjá, Yansa is the one that cuts the lifeline. Yeah, that's an important point. And we're gonna get through like her story and how she gets to the no one. Okay, can you do 2 sticks for that? Or maybe, you know what, if you could do that, then it'll be fine. Just so we hear the rhythm of her. And then let's go, you do that, and then we'll do the song, and then I'll play a little bit just so you can like get an idea of how she moves. So I will say Oyadeo, and you say Mario, Mario. Some people say Mario, some people say Ayado, like here she comes. Oyadeo, Oya is coming. Like in this instance, that kind of. And then Mario is a certain kind of front that is that is connected with her.
Does that bother you? Should? It's about
No, it doesn't. Doesn't
okay.
It's not nature sound.
Yeah.
It's not nature, not a
It's a
grill.
wind. But when they come in, when people come, I don't know if any of you, well, some of you do take dance classes, but when they get incorporated in something like you see spears, they come to the drum and they do this shake with their shoulders, and I'm not gonna even try to imitate. It's very very subtle, and then they have like a certain kind of call, you know. Ian says like a word. And close, you know, people that really do it and you feel it. Same goes with Ogun. There's also kind of like a really, you know. And then there's other ones that we get to it. It's like tricks of the forest and all that. So we're gonna, because that's gonna start. So Ian says it's storm, but it's also like communication between partners. It's also the breath that leaves here. And we're going to get to that with her relationship. So it goes like this. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, yeah, oh, Mario, oh, yeah, oh, Mario, oh, yeah, oh, Mario, oh, yeah, Mario, oh, yeah, Mario, oh, yeah, Mario, oh, yeah, Mario. Okay, now lose it. It's a hard one. Keep your feet. All right, so we did your lunge. Oh, yeah, inside, yeah. That's another name for her. All right, so from there, we're going to go into our guides. So we have the two, I think one of the most famous one is obviously Shango, and it's really connected with the Ansat, because if there's any, what is it? Like the biggest love story of Orisha culture is like Shango and the Ansat. Yeah. Shango is the kind of he's considered, like I said, the king of Oyo. He was brought a lot of prosperity to his people, but his challenge was to learn humility. He became very arrogant, and that was his demise. He fell kind of as our current president. These are both guys like come into the room and they kind of know that everybody's looking, you know. They have a certain kind of charm. They have a certain kind of charm. It might not hit you, you know, in a particular way, but they're very charismatic. You can't deny it. So, but then again, their challenge is humility. One of the stories that Shango has is where, so his lekes is like, beads are red and white, and why is it, usually his color is red, and white comes from Oshala, because at one point, he was humbled enough that he had to like carry Oshala on his back. Oshala represents the elderly, you know. So what does that mean for good leadership? That you walk carrying your elders on your back, you know. Okay, so Shango. That's a long song, y'all. How about I sing it for you? You're afraid to sing it, pride. Do you know 6/8 bell? Okay, so I'll start because sometimes I sing it off. I'm gonna mess it up if I watch this. I'm just gonna sing. Opa mi jai lo que lo do operioma. Opa mi jai lo que lo do vacosoaro. Opa mi jai lo que lo do operioma. Opa mi jai lo que lo do vacosoaro. When you dance Shango, you never look at the floor, you always look up. Everybody's looking at me. Man, this is a personal story. I saw this guy, Lazaro. He has a dance company, very well known, Cuban, Bata. He's not really older. And he has his kid. Man, his kid was like younger than your daughter. And we went for like a showcase or something. Everybody showcased their dance company. My teacher did, that's how I got to see it. And then Lazaro's company, his wife was singing. And the kid came in on the stage, dancing Shango, man. Just floored me. This kid was like, you know, came in with like a hat and how he walked in the room. He even like, as he danced, because at the end it's like fast, he dropped his hat. Yo, even if when he grabbed the hat, he grabbed it. My God, a kid like 8 years old, yo. Oh my God, that just floored me. Alright, so that's Shango. And then, on the other side, you know, if Shango comes into a room and says, I know you all are looking at me. Ogun comes into a room and you're like, what are you looking at? It's a very different energy. I think like, you know, I think about it as like, if you think of wrestling, right? You have the WWF. You know which one is that? Mm-hmm. That's the Shango side. You have the like MMA. That's it. You see those guys when they come into the stage? They're just like listening to the music. They're quiet. They don't say anything. I think our teachers are like that. Mm-hmm. kind of grumpy, always looking like this. Don't talk much, but when they talk, everybody listens, you know. Ogun is a fierce warrior. He's connected with civilization, with technology, with our bones. It's this idea of fighting towards something so you can make something happen. He's the one that clears the path. They say about Ogun that he bathes in blood. It's kind of an image, right? There's a story, a very famous story about Ogun, that he came back from war. I really like this story. He came back from war to his village, and then nobody was talking to him. It was all dirty and disgusting and tired. And nobody was talking to him, and he got so upset. Ogun people are really sensitive. And he killed everybody in the village.
Oh.
Yeah. Right, it gets better. And then somebody told him that the reason why people couldn't talk to him is because they were doing they're doing an offering where they had a taboo of speaking. They couldn't speak. And he was so devastated that that's what he did. He left to the forest and he didn't want to come out. And the story is that Oshun, because he was such a great leader, and people were like, it's a waste to have you leave. We need you back. She went out to get him, and she put a little bit of honey on his tongue, and that's the thing that kind of helped get him out. Now, what is this story about? I think it really exemplifies the way that in our culture in general, we allow men to be angry and deal with disappointment. It's either violence or shutting down. It's either I'm going to explode and destroy everything around me, or I'm going to disconnect and not talk to anybody and leave. And if anybody have any military people, anybody that have been through kind of the trauma of war, that's very on point. And what is the thing that usually takes people out of that place? It's the arts, what she represents. It's love. It sounds so California, but it's true. In some places, Ogun and Oshosi are father and son. In some places, they're brothers. I know them as brothers. They say that Oshosi steps in the footprints of his brother Ogun. Ogun clears the path, and Oshosi he's the hunter. In some places, he is a blind hunter.
So when you say people are like from Ogun or from Oshasa or from Shango, do you find that they have just particularly that one, or is it like a mix of? I work with Ayurveda where it's like a combination of both. Where you're like, you're some of this and some of that, and then different parts of your life are some of this and some of that. Like, how do you think about that?
So usually when people go get divination, they like in Candomblé they throw cowrie shells, and they take your date of birth and they tell you 3 orishas that usually work with you. A lot of times it's one kind of a shu and 2 other orishas.
Like a primary and then like the actual.
Yeah, and it's people that lead your life. It's the potential of your character. Does that mean right now that you're always gonna explode on people because no. And a lot of times those people that are later on in life turn into like Oshala kind of energy, because you can't hold, you're gonna.
It's evolution.
It's evolution. Actually in Cuba, Ogun is really connected with the prison system because he's connected with iron. He's the blacksmith too. And sometimes it's putting iron between you and the world to protect yourself, so you don't kill yourself. So it's good that you evolved, that you change that stuff. So to your questions, you get a few. In Ifa, it's less concentrated on the Orisha and it's more concentrated on the Odu. In Ifa, there's over 600 and something Odus. It's like the sacred scripture for the religion. And you get one when you're born, you get one when you get married, you get one, I get one every year on my birthday. It's kind of like, they tell you kind of like, what should you expect from the next year? What is the step that are going to be the challenge for your life and so forth. Actually, all these things that we do in Cabo, like the naming ceremony, all that stuff comes from that tradition. And it's done differently. In Ifa, there's like this thing called Velha. It's like there's these leaves. There's 4 on one side, 4 on the other. It's like a necklace kind of thing. They do this and then they cast it, and it shows like it's a binary system, and that shows you which odu it is. It's very elaborate. And then you do like a thing to show if it's like a positive or a negative, with like all these different things. Yeah. So we were talking about Oshasi, the hunter. Like I said, he's really connected with capoeira because he's about community. In some places, he some houses were, I'm not gonna say. His thing is about agility, about being able to. That's why I think it's really connected also with capoeira. You have to be very specific what you ask from Oshosi because he's not gonna move very fast, but when he moves, he kind of like hits the point. You know, so it's kind of like the long game, the plan, strategy, figuring out what am I going to do. Like, okay, the path is clear, but is this the best thing for me to go right now or to go at night? You know, or maybe like with capoeira, I don't really want to put it in. I go to the bathroom every time I come back. You know, that's the energy of Oshasi. And I'm gonna tell this one story. I really like this story because I heard somewhere that Oshasi comes from Osi, which is o Senhor Popular. It's like, because in Bahia he's very popular. So I learned it from some people as the owner of the K2 drums, which is kind of like these kind of drums. I talked to another elder, she's like, look, it's not like that. So, but Oshasi is very celebrated in Bahia. And there's a story about him that he went to, he enjoyed the attention that he was getting from bringing all this like hunting for people. He was hunting a lot and bringing a lot of food into it, and people were really excited, makes you popular. And then he started to see that it was affecting the forest. He was hunting without distinction, it was destroying the forest. And then he asked this one guy that was passing by, I was like, hey, did you notice the forest is not the same? And the guy was like, yeah, you need to kind of like maybe take a few days off and then come back to it, So he took a few days, did his little magic, and then come back and really aggressively hit that forest. And then again, the forest was suffering. So he went and that guy encouraged him to go to the Babalao and get divination to ask. He went to the Babalao, he cast him, he said, listen, you need to do an offering for a shoe, which was the guy in the forest, and you need to do this ritual. And what are these rituals for, people? It's really to slow down our lives. There's a lot of intelligence with it. It's to slow down our lives, to kind of like pay attention. And he did that, and he started realizing, I'm doing this ebo, I need to like go and get all this stuff. So it slowed down to see like, wow, maybe I shouldn't kill this mother, because then all these cubs are gonna die, I'm gonna pass today, maybe I'm not coming back with anything. And this lady, I really like this, because I heard this from this one Magisanto. And, usually we connect religion with this, I'm going to try to be politically correct. Usually we connect religion with like an archaic way of thinking. Like people that that stray away from modernization, or stray away from but me and Luzo were talking about this, all traditions and how they connected with nature. I was listening to this lady and she was saying it shows you that it's in our tradition to take care of nature. This is where we came from. We just had a pope that agreed and talked about global warming. And he had to be a scientist. This lady comes from a tradition of thousands of years and telling us to take care of nature. Like, we need a pope that is also to galvanize the Catholic community around the world to kind of like help us, like make us think of the environment. Anyway, side point. But yeah. So this is about the show scene. Should we do a song? Yes. Okay. So it goes like this. We'll do a slightly easy one because I think your brain is fried. Okay. It goes like this. Okay, 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 okay. You say, okay, yeah, okay, okay.
Okay.
Oh, that means hunting. Okay? Okay.
Okay.
The joke. Okay, 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 oh, there. Okay, 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 oh, there. Okay, okay, okay. We have to come in strong. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 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 okay. There you go. Riding a horse and like a whip. I really love not only the dancing of a show is very suave. Because you can't be like a clumsy hunter, right? You make a bunch of noise, scare all the animals. So his thing is there's a lot of suave in like the way he's moving. All right, and then the last one, super fun. It's not really has to do with male, female. It has to do with caboclo. Okay, caboclo is the native entities of Brazil. They're represented by the flag, the colors of the flag over there. They love to party. They like to have a good time. They smoke cigars. They and we'll do a song that comes from Umbanda. It's for caboclo, but we're gonna do it on capoeira rhythm. Caboclo is usually played with on barravento or on congo. Can you do like a 6/8 again? Can 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 can. Capoeiristas know it as maculé. Okay? Goes like this. Ay, 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 ay.
Ai, 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 ai.
Quando cheguei da Luanda.
Quando cheguei da Luanda.
So ay, 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 ay. When I came from Luanda, Luanda it could be like Luanda, it could be the capital of Angola, Luanda, it could be Luanda, the mythical place where Orisha lives. Alright? And then I'll say something. Trouxe muito. I brought a lot of, you could say, remédio, axé.
Chapstick.
Alright? So it goes like this. Oh, ai, 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 ai. Quando cheguei da Luanda, trouxe muito remédio dentro da minha capanga.
Ai, 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 ai. Quando eu cheguei da Luanda.
Trouxe muito remédio dentro da minha capanga.
Ai, 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 ai. Quando eu cheguei da Luanda. Ai, 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 ai. Quando eu cheguei da Luanda.
Very good. All right. The last thing. Are you ready?
Woo!
You guys have been listening for so long. Thank you for your patience. Okay. When we finish Orisha stuff, we usually do a rhythm called ahamuya to a dance that is called avania. Okay? And the thing is very easy. It goes can 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 can. Very good. And then there's a song that goes, I'm not gonna make you learn all of that. I'm just gonna sing it so your brain doesn't completely short. Ka, 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 ka. And then at the end, kind of like how we started, we end with a shoe. Okay? So it goes like this. Araquetué.
Araquetué.
Quetubara é Shumaió.
Quetubara é Shumaió.
Quetubara é Shumaió.
Quetubara é Shumaió.
And then you repeat it. Araquetué.
Araquetué.
Quetubara é Shumaió.
Quetubara é Shumaió.
Araquetué, Quetubara é Shumaió. Araquetué, Quetubara é Shumaió. who raised you. And you have all that patience to sit here and listen. Are there any questions or anything before we take a break? We covered a lot of stuff. And again, I'm putting it as a disclaimer. There's many different ways of singing these songs, versions of these stories. I want to remind you guys that it's kind of like capoeira. You know, each house does things a little bit different. Each house does the names of the things a little bit different. It's very obvious that this is not makulele. But if makulele, if Congo is I've learned from my experience working with different teachers, it's just, like I said, a spectrum. There's more things that are a little bit more right and more wrong from my experience. But I'm full transparency. I'm not Brazilian. I am not initiated into the culture. You know, I've been very lucky to enjoy the grace of many teachers to be able to hear these stories and hear this stuff, but you know, I am a guest in this culture. And I will say the following. Yes, I think we live in a time right now where there's, everybody is very eager and to cancel people because of how they talk, or their opinions, or so forth. Some areas more than others. And I will tell the story of Mestre Bimba. Anybody here, other than anybody doesn't, never heard of that name, Mestre Bimba? Okay, so Mestre Bimba was a guy that in capoeira is really revered. He's considered to be the person who popularized, innovated capoeira. He was a black man, and he was one of the very few people that started opening capoeira to white Brazilians. So he started organizing capoeira in a specific way. There were rules in his academy. You couldn't smoke, you needed to have a job, there was a lot of different stuff. And to some people, they sing his praise because he made capoeira super popular. And to other people, he was the one that was a sellout. Because he made a lot of rules that took maybe capoeira from a lot of black people from its culture and opened it up to a lot of white Brazilians. He taught capoeira to people that if he was caught walking in their streets, somebody would call somebody to pick him up. They would not probably have him ever eat it at their table if it wasn't for the fact that he taught them capoeira. Why am I mentioning him? I am not of this culture, and I was very fortunate to be able to learn all this stuff and spread it all around. This guy, not only he opened his door and tolerated to the people who tolerated his injustice. Some of those people were not only complacent, but were active members of the reality that created the injustice that was making up his life. Yet because he did that, so many people around the world right now are singing the story of the black man in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
People in Portugal are singing songs to tell the history of enslaved people in Brazil. And that happened because somebody did. Mr. Bimba, that guy, did something he didn't have to do. There's a teacher called Mestre João Ganti that in Bahia, he was washing cars. He ended up coming here to the States in a way because of this kind of seed that Mr. Bimba planted, you could argue. He ended up having an academy in Manhattan.
Still has it.
Still has it. This is a man that can't read and write. And it's all because somebody did something and welcomed someone that they had every excuse in the world not to give them that chance. So, I am here because of the grace of some people that chose to do something similar, and I hope that if you take anything out of this class, is you will take carrying that grace to other people too, and being a little bit more curious as to other people's experiences. And on that note, I really want to thank the grace of this family. She was saying that, like, you know, and I'm not saying it because of our conversation, you have an incredible teacher. This lady does not have to hold the space, and she chooses to do it. So I really hope that you give her all the love that she continues to do this kind of work. Are there any questions?
We need to stand up and get some juju up in these bones. Play something for us, Minha, Velha, to finish. Something exciting that we can all clap to.
Something exciting.
Yeah.
Let's do some samba. That's all
Come on, come on.
Okay.
Right.
I say, capineiro de ioiô, capineiro de aiá.
Capineiro de ioiô, capineiro de aiá.
I say, na forte capiaí.
Capineiro,
Capineiro.
Capineiro.
Na forte capiaí.
Capineiro. 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 Capineiro.
Moments of agua and rest before our marvelous Uzo's going to take